Hi, Dianna.
Whoa, how are
Hello,
you?
Dianna. Hi, good to see you.
Brenda, I talk to you all the time on social media through CSP link. And I think this
Now
is
we
first
actually do it
time
as a human.
Yeah, right.
That's
Right.
amazing. Amazing. And you are the communication expert, number 6 in the world for communication, which is extraordinary. Well done, you. So you know
Thank
all about communication.
Thank you.
So
Thank
Arthur
you.
and I would love to know, how did you get to the space? How did you become number 6 in communication?
Well, when I started out, when I left graduate school, I was all about writing novels, actually, and published 5 novels. But then I decided more than novel writing, I was into just writing. I just loved doing writing. And I got into nonfiction and self-help and then business books, and tried doing just deep research on a lot of different subjects, and found that communication was my thing, because I like that comment that someone made a long time ago: nothing happens till someone communicates something. And so once I got into communication, I started having clients when I wrote the first few books. And now I'm at book number 49, and
Wow.
I have clients calling me saying, I'm sitting here in the library reading this book or that book. Can you come out and tell us how to do that? And so I just fell in love actually with the idea of writing. And so once, IBM called, and when I would go on an author tour, and then Shell Oil, and they would pass my name to this client and that client, I built a training company around it. And the communication just stayed with me because it's such a broad field.
49 books. I guess sleep is highly overrated. Is that the idea? The idea
that is crazy.
But, I started out in a small niche in communication. It was business writing. And then IBM says, well, the same skills are in presentations. And then IBM said, well, actually the same concepts are in customer service communication, and then it's the same concept really in persuasion, in leadership. And so I just kept thinking, well, that communication umbrella is very broad. So as clients kept asking me things and I kept taking on different projects, they were still under that umbrella of communication. So I thought, gee, I don't know anything about that, so let me research it and write another book. And then I would go to my agent or Random House or Simon Schuster and say, hey, do you want a book on this? And they would say, yes, another book. And so that's how I got to 49, and eventually to 62 foreign language editions. And I just kept on doing that.
Well, there you go. So to be a guru, you got to write a lot of books.
Yeah. And so once I turned that over to other trainers, to go out and do the programs, eventually we got to 24 communication courses. And once I had trainers out presenting those, then it became boring to me to do the same programs. And so then that's when I got into the executive coaching. Once my clients, my trainers were in there doing the training programs, then they would say, hey, Vice President so-and-so needs some help with this initiative or whatever. And so I started doing the one-on-one at the executive level. And then they would occasionally say, he would like to write a book on this, or she would like to write a book on this new management strategy or this initiative that we've accomplished. And so then that's how I, again, broadened that communication training, because that was the organization trying to promote their product or their service or their professional practice, etc.
I don't think I've heard of any other business that organically grew so beautifully as what you just explained. Isn't it amazing, Arthur?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like building and building and building. I mean, and that's the thing. See, I mean, one of the things that I really respect about that is that, she says, well, I didn't know about that, so I did some research, and she builds on it, even though she's not familiar, and she creates and continues to literally stack everything on top of each other to build an empire.
I think that comes out of insecurity about not knowing enough about the topic. What a client would say, you don't have the background, you're not a psychologist. I would say, yes, that's true. My undergraduate and postgraduate work is all not in that field. It's in writing, it's in creative writing. So I would have to go do major research and major client work and say, let me come in and talk to your vice presidents and do all this interviewing and look at all these case studies and talk to your clients. So the more consulting I did, it was proprietary research that I was doing in the field.
Yeah. So you must love learning. So Dianna, what's the future look like? What's the future look like? Where are you heading?
Actually helping more people do their books and their writing. I'm doing book camps now 2 or 3 times a year because I found a lot of, I used to not do it. You know, I would help friends who would call other colleagues who would say, you know, introduce me to your agent, introduce me to your editor at Penguin Random House, etc. And I would do it just as a friend thing or a colleague thing. But since I sold my business, I sold the training company about 4 years ago, I decided, hey, why don't I just make that my business? And the pandemic sort of was the impetus to that. I wanted to just stop traveling and do this online. And so I started about 3 or 4 times a year doing a 3-day book camp and saying, hey, if you want to do this and get your agent and get your proposal done, you can do it fast. Because a lot of people think, hey, writing a book is going to take me a year, 2 years. And I've got a system for they can do it actually in about 2 to 4 weeks. And that shocks most people. They say, you're kidding me. You're honestly kidding me. And I say, I'm not talking about research. No, because
great.
You know, you may research for for 5 years or a lifetime. Arthur, it might be your whole experience in doing these licensings around the world. Or, Brenda, you've done so much work in Singapore. You probably have case studies just, at the tip of your tongue that you could write about. But I'm talking about when you actually get ready to do the proposal and draft it. You can draft a book in about 7 to 10 days. Most people can if they have a system. So that's what I'm really excited about and passionate about is saying, hey, you don't have to let your other business go. You can do it really, really quickly.
That's
brilliant. Absolutely.
That's my future.
I love it. And so how do people get a hold of you, Dianna, if they want to learn about anything you've talked about? There's so much a wealth of knowledge within you. How do they get a hold of you?
They can go to Booher Research, like my last name. It's Booher, like Booher. I tell people, please don't. Please don't Booher. Booher Book Camps or just booherresearch.com.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Right.
Wow. Isn't that inspiring, Arthur?
It is. All right. Well, Dianna, thank you so much. It's 49 books. And we're also looking forward to seeing your breakout session in the main event as well as Brenda's.
Thank you.
Yes. It'll be fun. We'll have some really good time connecting with other gurus. Good fun.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. See you later then.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.